no play. We don't take time to see our old friends.
Yes, not so many of our old friends left, Michael.
Right, we out here. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a quick, very impromptu live stream of the Tech and Chill Show Unplugged. I'm your host, Ben, from the Lover of Tech channel. But it's not just me tonight. I'm actually here with a special guest tonight, and it's my man, GravX from GravX Reviews. So we've got him here tonight, and we're going to be talking about what is in the title, which is Nvidia just dropped a bombshell on a couple of graphics cards that have been long overdue in this scene. So without further ado, let me introduce my man GravX. So Grav, you can unmute yourself and say hi to everyone who is part of the Lover of Tech family.
What is going on, guys?
What's good, what's cracking, what's popping, what's up, people? We are live streaming right now on the YouTubes and also on Twitter and Periscope. So I'm gonna have the live stream on Periscope Twitter pinned to my Twitter comment profile at the top. So if you want to hit me up on there and you want to also watch on there, we'll be keeping an eye out on the chats on Periscope. But the main conversation is happening here on the YouTube. So let's talk about what just happened today with this whole new naming moniker of what's actually happened with Nvidia. So is GTX dead? Is RTX here to replace it, or what's going on? What's good? So as special guests are here, we like to, you know, be kind and allow the special guests to speak first, introduce themselves, say hi, and, you know, bring everything into fruition. So what's good, my man? I appreciate
that, bud.
That much good.
You know, I don't really think GTX is dead. I think it's an evolution.
Okay, cool.
And again, like we were talking before, it's just the RTX it's just the possibilities it brings to PC gaming and even just regular gaming as a whole. I don't think people really understand like the actual impact that it has.
Yeah.
And like you were saying with like, you know, okay, the whole thing, and my biggest pet peeve with the whole presentation was he just kept talking nonstop for the entire time. He would not stop talking. But in all seriousness, like these cards are I know, right? These cards are way more powerful.
Yeah.
You know, just spec wise alone. They've got more transistors, they've got more everything.
Yeah.
They're using GDDR6.
Yep.
But it's not so much what they're bringing, it's just what they're bringing it with.
Yep.
I mean, you know, with the GTX 1080 Ti, which is what I have on my computer right now, and probably close to everyone who games or does anything has a 1080 or higher.
Yep.
You had one core, and that core was mixed. You know, it had mixed uses.
Yep.
The RTX has multiple cores. It's got a tensor core, it's got an AI core, and it's got that video processing core. It's just all these cores work in tandem, and that's huge. And on your page,
it is definitely.
So like on your page, right? Go to click on one of the cards, any card you want. I think the 2080 Ti is a good one for the Battlefield RTX on and off.
All right, so Nvidia. What really shocked me in what Nvidia did with the fact that they announced all three graphics cards at the same time. So if people are not familiar, and I haven't had the chance to really talk PC on the channel as much as I would have liked to, because I don't really necessarily have anyone that's into the PC hardware scene like you are, for example.
Yeah,
so it
now.
Yeah, man, it kind of, you know, it just kind of gives me that kind of, you know, outlet to be able to just express, because I love hardware. I'm a hardware type of person, you know, so just the joys of it and just the tech behind what allows this hardware to do what it does to communicate with the application program interfaces, you know, like what we have come to know from, you know, DirectX. You know, my first encounter was with DirectX 9A, B, and C, and up. You know, so it's amazing and it's powerful. You know, I'm just more surprised the fact that they were actually brave enough to be like, yo, we're just gonna give you the titanium version, the TI, straight away. Because what tends to happen, if what people don't realize, is they announce two, which is always the 80 and the 70 out of the series, right? Then later on down the line, they announce the Titan. And then after, let's just say after they announce the Titan, maybe let's just say a month or two later, then you get the Titanium, which is a cut down version of that particular graphics core. You know, but this time they've just kind of switched up a little bit, which brings a very interesting buying approach, availability and accessibility for the mass audience that wants to actually get into the high end straight away, right? So I'm more excited for that in terms of what they've done. So if we look at the GTX, man, I've got to fix up, man. It's not GTX, it's
RTX, man. GTX is the no more. It is RTX. RTX is the future. I mean, RTX. You heard it. Henson loved his buddy Ray tracing everywhere.
Oh man, him and Ray are just like
I know. Him, Darth Maul. Oh boy. But no, like you were saying before the live stream, I think they were sitting on this card for a while, and we saw that when they released, you know, the Quadro before with Volta.
Yep. Oh,
they were sitting on this for a while, and again, like you said before, AMD has no answer to Nvidia. Like, even their best cards are okay, but they just don't have any. They don't have an answer to them, and Nvidia knows this.
Yep.
And they're just, it's like, well, we can do things on our own time.
Yep.
And I think it actually paid off for consumers, because we actually got to have all three cards at the same time.
Exactly.
That never happened.
Exactly. And you couldn't have said it any better. You know, so what we have here, RTX 1080 Ti Titanium Founders Edition. So remember, guys, Founders Edition, this is Nvidia's binned chipped based GPUs that they're using. These are the ones that they kind of have as their reference boards that will be used best with like water blocks, and are going to be using their whole new cooler design, which finally they've ditched the blower. And this is another big thing, they've ditched the blower style design. They've got a dual fan intake to exhaust open design with that metal shroud. This is a first for a reference card, from what my knowledge tells me.
So on that card right there, they, underneath that shroud, they've got a full card covered vapor chamber.
Exactly. This is a big deal. This almost brings a nice question mark of, do you really need AIB, the add-in board partner versions of this card anymore? Like, it seemingly doesn't seem like it's a lot, but they're doing a lot different this year that kind of like steps up the minimum requirements of what you class as a reference. Now the Founders Edition moniker or name is now a bit more strongly justified from where I'm
means
sitting.
Something.
Yeah, there's more substance to it, right? There's more meaning to it. So that makes it very interesting. So yes, the Founders Editions will be slightly priced higher than your base model AIB or the add-in board partner ones that are going to be coming out later on down the line, you know. So in the UK, it's priced at £1,099. And again, like what you were saying, this is now based officially on Turin. And Turin is what you were talking about, that tri-core design of different processing units, right? From not just your traditional CUDA cores, which at this one, you're looking at what, 4,324?
Yeah, it's almost 1,000 more than the 1080 Ti.
Already.
And they're also other updated cores.
Exactly. And this is the thing. Pascal was updated to what was on Maxwell, right? A lot of people said Pascal was an overclocked version of Maxwell. Fine. It is very easy to think that way, because the nanometer of process in terms of manufacturing shrink was huge. We were coming from 28 nanometer down to 16.
Right? Yeah, you get more performance, lower power package.
but you know, the cores were still redesigned. And they were very efficient. This is why, again, I'm going to touch on that a bit later, but this is why they were able to just be they were able to perform so well in mobile laptops, right? With good thermal envelope and thermal design power to actually handle it in such a confined chassis, which has never ever been done before, right? So that just excites me. It excites me already. From, I thought for me, Pascal was a big jump. This, in terms of what is happening on the 12nm process, the future compatibility that they're going to be able to do with this, right? Like, well, wow.
Going on to that, the mobile gaming, like Pascal was like the legit first true mobile gaming platform. Yeah. Like you're getting these ultra thin laptops. I'm talking like 1 inch or thinner. Like that's unheard of in gaming at all. Like, and I think one of the big things, aside from like what you're showing right now, the RTX, is that the mobility that these cards, when they go mobile, are offering you, it's going to be insane. It's a game changer.
Oh my goodness. It was, Pascal was already a game changer. Let's be fair. Pascal was already a game changer, because the promise of what Pascal had of something like a GTX 1060, where they said the power of a GTX 980 at the cost of a GTX 1060, right? Exactly. That was a big deal. And if you look at the core array was 1280 cores on the GTX 1060 compared to a GTX 980, which was 2048 cores, right? So if you're just looking at it from just the cores, right, you can already tell that away from just the clock speeds alone, these cores were revised cores, much more efficient, much more, you know, they were
designed with intent.
Exactly. So imagine now on another manufacturing process shrink, on faster graphics, on faster memory as well, like the overclocking potential of GDDR6, you know, I don't even want to think about.
Now remember, the GDDR6 is Samsung. I think it's a 7nm chip.
Yep, it is.
So you're talking like, I mean, I haven't seen benchmarks yet, but I'm going to assume because of that size, you're going to have a really high overclock potential on the memory alone.
Oh my goodness! Oh no, like I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed because, you know, G5X already overclocked like a beast. We're talking about 11 gigabits per second kind of clocks that they were pulling out of, you know, G5X, and it's now really put pressure on Radeon Technologies Group in terms of what they had invested in so much for high bandwidth memory, you know, and the promise and the premise of what HBM2 was meant to offer. It's now really showing the cost to yield balance is really off scale, you know, and it's a shame because AMD, you know, Radeon Technologies Group, their architecture in terms of thermal design power and thermal envelope was so poor to performance that they had no choice but to use HBM, because HBM in terms of power efficiency is so good that they had to use HBM to negate how poor the rest of the thermal design was on that chip. But yet the problem was the yields to memory bandwidth amount that you could get on HBM. It's so bad compared to what you're seeing on G5X and now GDDR6, where they're just slapping 8 gigabytes of RAM on there. Yeah, just 8 gigabytes of GDDR5. You know, that's it.
Let's talk about the specs real quick. Not just of the RTX, but let's look at HBM2, right?
Yep.
So HBM2 has a pretty high bus width.
Yeah, it does.
I think it's like what, 3000 or 392 bit.
I think it's
392. I think it's what it was.
I think it's 496 if I remember right. You know, I might be wrong.
I can't remember what the actual thing was, but for example, I know like on the Titan V, right? You had HBM2, and you had, I think it was like a 650 gigabyte bandwidth.
Yep.
The RTX 2080 Ti. You got a 352 bit bus. So you're probably going to be raking about 700 gigabits a second.
Yep.
Like I know it says like what, 660 or 616, on the spec sheet, but like, you know, with the AIBs and the overclock and everything, you're going to be breaking that. So GDDR6 is a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah,
Than
yep.
HBM2.
Yep.
It's easier to make. The bins that you get, the amount is just you get more stacks per chip.
Yep. The yields, I'm more looking at the yields. The yields are gonna be so much more, just so much more attainable. All right.
And
so
I think that's why the price is what it is.
So yeah, the memory bus width of HBM2 is
512.
Is 2048 bit. So memory bus bit bandwidth is huge, but you see,
I think on the Titan V it was 3092. I think they did some sort of overclock or something to it.
Yeah, so I think what it is for how wide the bus is, it's negated by very low clocks. You see, so it's the balance of the low clocks to high bit, right, for HBM, and I think that kind of balance scale is what's causing such a huge problem with the yields for that, because that's a huge bus. That is a very huge bus. If you're thinking about the size, that's huge, right?
Not only that, like when could you even find an AMD card with HBM2 to buy?
You can't.
They're always out of stock.
And this is it. It's like, because they've been able to focus on having such a wide bus with low clock speeds, this is where, you know, thermals wise and power requirement on HBM is so efficient, right? But to do that, the cost to yield it's just way too high. Even Samsung, who produce HBM, are struggling to really actually, you know, get that going, to the point where they had to actually look, this is what's going to be much more efficient in terms of GDDR6, and Nvidia was smart to be able to cater the architecture around that, you know. And man, if we come back, what it says, the power of the RTX, you know, 2080 Ti titanium Turin architecture compared to Pascal, look at just even the base clocks, like, for what you're getting in terms of the increase, right?
But again, man, it's not really about the clock speed, and it's more so like what the actual core offers you. It's just
exactly the core communication. This is where I'm really excited to see, because oh man, I'm getting speechless.
I know, like, this is the first time in a long time I've actually been super pumped. Like, I was watching the show, waiting for him to finish blabbing on about penumbras and shadows and lighting and whatever else he was talking about. And that was all great, but when he announced those cards for pre-order, like, I flew to my computer. I was super pumped. Like, it's just anyone who knows tech, or who's been inside like a computer gaming, you know, industry, or like a gamer, just a regular gamer who, you know, likes their graphics. If you sit down and actually look at the Turing architecture, compare it to Pascal, and even before that, it's just the generational leap. It's he even said it. It's a whole new generation in graphics.
And I you know, we're smart enough to know marketing hype, and we know all of that. But you see, the looking, when you look behind it, right? And I know a lot of people have things against Nvidia about, you know, marketing practices, how they work with developers.
Rightfully so.
You know, and which is fair. You know, like, you know, how we all know the story behind GameWorks. GameWorks can be a flipping gimp.
Oh my god.
It can be a gimp. If you haven't,
but they made up with it for Nvidia Tensor.
Yeah, it's true. You know, but if you hadn't experienced it firsthand, you know, with the 9 series when it first came out with Witcher 3, you would have known that even GameWorks on Nvidia GPUs was a flipping gimp. You know, so yeah, we have that. But at the end of the day, what they're bringing out when they're just competing with themselves is phenomenal. Like, it is phenomenal for them to not have competition, genuine competition, you know. And what was so sad is AMD, or Radiant Technologies Group, because I don't want to say AMD too much, because they're doing well for the CPU space. Like, they've caused a bit of stir in there. Their turning over profit is great. So I'm gonna try my best to refer it to Radiant Technologies.
When you stack 95,000 cores on a CPU, that's gonna happen.
So true. but they hyped Vega for a year, and we've kind of seen the politics behind what happened with Roger Kaduri and why he left and whatnot. But you hyped that card for a year, and you have nothing to compete with the titanium models. Okay, maybe not Titan, but you have nothing to compete with the titanium. Then your Vega 56 and 64 that was meant to go against the 1070 and also the 1080 are more expensive, are a lot hotter, they don't overclock, and they are barely even any close. How does that help? How does that help?
I think the allure of AMD has always been they're the cheaper of the two, and they offer a really good price performance package.
True.
Whereas for Nvidia, you're paying a premium. It's like buying. Okay, so say you want to get a sports car, right? You have a Tesla, and you have a Porsche.
Yeah, for real.
The Tesla will destroy the Porsche, but Porsche is more well known.
Yep.
And it's almost kind of the same thing. It's a bad analogy, but it's like Nvidia's always been known as like the de facto gaming card company. You know, they have the size, they have they have the brain power. Their scientists are probably some of the smartest guys on earth when it comes to algorithm programming. And that's what it comes down to, is algorithms. But AMD has always been like, hey, we're here if you need us. Like, you know, come cry on our shoulder.
Yeah, it's true. But you see, and shout out to everyone that's in the live stream. We've not forgotten. We will engage with the audience. Shout out to
any questions,
GravX
ask us.
For coming onto the live stream as well. You know, you guys are. Thank you for coming, bro.
Of course,
just we will definitely engage. You know, but I think our excitement is so high at the minute. We see all the questions, we see the interactions. You know, shout out to Dave West, everyone else that's in there as well. We will definitely engage, but we definitely want to get this out there and just kind of like set pace and, you know, get things out there and just say like, this is exciting times for consumers, and for the fact that there is not enough competition in the graphics space, but yet it's such a game changer. Like, this is more something that needs to be drilled down to the Radio and Technologies group, because we need competition. If we're getting it this good now, imagine if there's competition. We would be even in a much better place. Because what I was saying to GravX before was off the stream, before we start the stream, Nvidia could have released these cards last year if there was good competition. 1, 2,
didn't need to.
They didn't need to, right? 2, I'm telling you, things are so bad right now. Nvidia is only doing us fan service, you know. I'm telling you, they could have actually held RTX back until next year, and it would have made no difference. It would have made no difference. They could have. They could have easily milked Pascal.
Out on Twitter, everyone's like, "Oh, I want to wait for the real benchmarks, for the real benchmarks." And again, like we were talking about, it's not about the benchmarks. It's
exactly.
If this thing gets the same benchmarks or even a couple thousand points higher or more frames per second on a game, but it enables real-time lighting, real-time ray tracing, like it's a completely different story. Like, think about it. All the effects in these games, like say you have an explosion and a reflection off of a window in the, like Battlefield 5 demo is a good example. That those explosions in the background are pre-rendered.
Yep.
They're all static. Nothing changes.
Yep.
With ray tracing, you're actually enabling real-time dynamic environments, like actual legit dynamic environments that do change.
Physically based as well, subsurface scattering in real time. Like, it's
that's unheard of, and that's the most exciting part of RTX for me. Is you're gonna have a living, breathing world that reacts like a real world should, and the immersion that's gonna bring. I get that.
I know, like, dude,
what can you say about it? You can't say anything to that.
I'm telling you. I think it's only the appreciation of like how I don't know how to. It's like the technology that this breakthrough. I see it as a trickle down effect. I call it the trickle down effect, right? That this is such a major breakthrough that has come a lot quicker than expected, that the trickle down effect for the next generation cards on the lower end or the mid-range end, it's gonna be amazing. Like, check this. where I'm very excited for this, right, is the 2060 and the 2050, where you could potentially have the same thermal design power, thermal envelope as what you had on the 1060 from the previous generation, right? But with the performance of a GTX 1080, right? So imagine that at a price point of a 1060. That to me, like, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
this chip will literally give you 4K mobile gaming.
Oh my goodness.
At playable frame rates on high settings.
Like genuine. Like this. I don't know about you, man, but I'm excited.
I know it's and I can hear it in your voice. I'm sure everyone can hear it in our voices. Like I'm not sure everyone in the chat is like if they are into what we're talking about in terms of like the actual specs, but like it's just looking at the specs alone, you know, looking at the specs that it's going to be a more powerful card. The FPSs are going to be there. The rendering speeds are going to be there. That's a given. You know, you increase the numbers, it's going to bump up.
Exactly.
But you look at what this chip brings. You got a Tensor core. You got the RTX core. You have an AI core.
Yep.
Like everything. I mean, the AI core will literally look at the screen and predict the next thing.
Exactly.
That's going to take a strain off the GPU itself, which is insane.
Overhead. And you see, this is one thing about the PC platform that it suffered, right? Just the nature of it being so open and flexible creates so much overhead, right? That's just a given. That's just something that comes with what is meant to be an open platform. But if this is meant to negate that bottleneck of pure overhead, right, this is a good thing. This is one thing where, whether you want to be classed as PC master race or not, this is one thing that the consoles have been able to do so well, because they don't have to worry about that large room of overhead.
Yeah, then that's why they use APUs. They get away with that.
There we go. This is why you've got pretty much hardware like the PlayStation 4 that came out November 2013, that when it came out, it was already out of date, but yet 5 years down, it's able to produce amazing visuals of games like God of War and Spider-Man that are coming out.
Oh my god, God of War on the Pro is unreal, man.
Even on me, I've got the normal PS4 and I was in awe. I mean, I was in awe. You know, so, you know, because they don't have to worry about that overhead. But if this is going to actually potentially allow developers to actually reduce this overhead, right, bring that closer to the metal, as they call it, you know, hardware, application program interface, API, DirectX 12, what DirectX 12 truly promised, right, down to the software. Mate, it's like
and that's a good point too, Ben. Like, so think about it. When you have these cards and you're rendering a scene, and I'm gonna go back to that Battlefield 5 slider. I don't know if you can pull it up on your screen or not, but like, people were like, "Oh, okay, it's showing a reflection. Big deal." It's like you're not taking it seriously, man. It's not that it's a reflection.
No,
this is actually happening in the game world.
Yes,
it's like Nvidia Tensor. It's like when you take a picture, like take a picture of a game in game.
Yep.
And in that picture, you can move around in 3-dimensional like you're actually there in the game.
Exactly.
This is the same thing, but in real time, at full render, at full frame. That's
the thing, in real time.
And they stressed that, but the audience, it wasn't getting through to them.
It wasn't.
Which was confusing to me, because you got the guys from like GameSpot there, Digital Foundry was there.
Yep.
Gary was there. He's just staring. I was like, really, Gary?
Like,
I saw him in the back in the audience. They're hiding. But
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's such a big step in the right direction, where
it's a huge step in the right direction.
Even
look at that slider. I can't, man. When you
same, I'm even at the point where, even if the performance hit is relatively large to some, I don't think that is such a thing to take away from the breakthrough. Ray tracing, like, real-time ray tracing, for the longest time, I used to read so many articles about this. It's literally something that was just classed as, it's not something that can be done real. Like, the amount of compute power, we are so far away. It's just something that is good for tech demos. It's here now. Like, it's here. Can we take a moment to actually understand like the dynamics behind the fact that it's here? We're talking about subsurface scattering
in
right?
real time,
In
not
real
pre-programmed.
time, not pre-programmed, real time. We are talking about accurate soft shadows, not harsh, but realistic, dynamic, shape-shifting soft shadows.
But you know what? It's not even realistic. They're actually there.
There. It's
you can't even say realistic anymore, because realistic would dictate that. Oh yeah, we're simulating this. I mean, yeah, okay, it's engines of simulation of physics and codes and whatever else. But I get that. But imagine this is the impact of ray tracing. When we see things like in real life, we're seeing the photons bouncing off an object, and the object's imperfections are what make things look realistic.
Yep.
In this game, when light hits a surface, if the this is really up to the developers and their worlds. So subsurface scattering, if you've got a flat surface that's not textured or tessellated, if you have a tessellated surface with multiple layers of levels, and you have an actual programmed beam of light hit that, and ray tracing comes into effect, I mean, your brain's gonna malfunction, because you're gonna be like, is this real or what?
This is just like man, it's
and that's a problem. That's a problem with graphics. They're like, oh, it's gonna look too real. If you make something too perfect, your brain doesn't want to believe it, because there's imperfections everywhere.
Yep, dude. And you know what? Yeah, the studios that they brought on stage gave me confidence, right? Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Dice with Frostbite. These guys are studios I have confidence in that they will be able to pull it off efficiently. And these are studios
Frostbite, man.
Oh, dude. And these are guys that they don't sit on the engines. They are always updating these engines. They are always
Activision.
Bethesda.
Yeah,
Bethesda or worse, dude. That Fallout engine is so ancient, it's beyond me.
I think it's pretty close to the Call of Duty one over there from Call of Duty 2. They're using the same engine this entire time.
Seriously, like, I'm talking about companies that if they said Bethesda, I'll be like, this is going to be a problem. I do not trust them. The new Fallout 76 that's coming out is probably still going to be...
It's the same thing. It's like a reskin.
Oh, it's just like...
It's a reskin with RPG online elements.
It's such a poor engine as well. It's such an inefficient engine, and it looks terrible. The source engine looks better than that, honestly. And the source engine wasn't really meant to be an engine that was meant to be all about graphic showcase. Like, man.
No, it was all about physics.
Exactly. And that's what made Half-Life such a success, because it was just physics.
Hang on. Fresh, what's up, man? You said I haven't been more lost. I take it that 2080 is nice. Sorry, bro. Didn't mean to.
Sorry, tonight we are geeking out. No, dumb it down. We are going all out PC hardware talk, man. So unfortunately, it's a bit different to the normal tech and chill. This is a bit more in depth, because
this is the tech and blackout. What's your knowledge on like PC gaming, Fresh?
So Fresh's background is more of a music video director, music video producer, music video editor. He's solid on the tech scene as well. So he's got his tech channel as well, which he does great content on there. Jonathan Lee Ramos in the house, Pixels and Bytes in the house. What's good, family? Yo, what's good? Dave West in the house, Excommunicado, Rusky Tech. I'm surprised, Rusky Tech, you're actually in this live stream, and you know what I mean by saying that. But no hard feelings. It's all good. It's all good.
You know what though? Like, okay, so I'll give it to you straight, man. Or Fresh. So the 2080, we're talking about ray tracing. It's legit real lighting. Like literally real lighting. So it's
real.
How can I explain this? Imagine the Matrix. And if you've seen the Matrix, Agent Smith said the problem. Not the Agent Smith. The curator, was that his name? That old white dude in the chair with the weird voice.
The architect.
There you go. the architect, whatever his name was. I swear to God, like he was like the human mind rejected the Matrix because it was too perfect, it was too pristine.
Yeah.
When you have these games that look super crisp and every surface is super smooth like glass and there's no like imperfections, like you don't understand when developers make games like this, these engines, they're the ones, they're doing all the rendering, they're doing all the skins and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
And they also have to program the way light bounces off of them.
Oh yeah.
So it's up to however good a person can program something to enable the lighting or lighting effects. And you've seen Nvidia try to do lighting effects. That was Nvidia, I forgot whatever it was called back in 2015, like the Nvidia lighting.
Yep.
Suite.
Lighting demos. Yeah, the lighting suite.
You know, and those were good, but they were really only simulating lighting effects.
Exactly.
And what we're showing before on screen with the Battlefield 5 demo, and I keep going back to that because it's just such a great image to kind of drive what RTX really does
home, because especially coming from Frostbite, that engine, I have to drive that. I have to back you up on that, man. Frostbite.
Like, look at that.
Man.
Like, even the particles that are coming off the explosion are causing reflections
exactly
in objects.
Exactly.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but if you look at the wheel well and the car, the wheel well is reflecting the reflection off the side of the car.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Like it's
people would have to program that. They would have to every single reflection you saw in a game was programmed by a developer.
Exactly.
With this, it's not.
It's not. And this is what I mean about the intelligent workload. Now that the graphics card is going to be able to uplift because of that core architecture that they've designed, right? Developers, if they adapt their engine to actually optimize around it, their workload could just reduce. Like we're talking about
do any lighting effects. It's all handled in the game based off the explosion.
Yep, it would just literally
fresh
know.
tech and prices. Yeah, so they released all three cards: $499 for the 1070, $699 for the 1080, and $999 for the the 2070, 2080, 2080 Ti.
So I've got UK prices on the screen, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So in the UK it's a little bit more.
Yeah, in effect is these are the reference, but they're more known as Founders Edition, in-house direct from Nvidia.
Yeah, and again, the Founders Edition for this year, it's
big. It's a big change. It's a big change. We're talking about a big change. This is the biggest step up in terms of reference design to the point where I'm almost just thinking, what would be the main point of getting an add-in board third-party version of this card now? Because if it's
the warranty,
yeah, I guess so. But then if let's just say you're getting an EVGA version of the Founders Edition card, then you've got the best of both, right? The value of it is going to be worth a lot more. It would be understandable if they're still stuck with a single blower fan design, right? But with a dual fan design, with a completely covered GPU PCB printed circuit board base
and a vapor chamber,
dude, that's a big deal. In terms of premiumness now, that Founders Edition name, last generation was a bit questionable. You kind of question, like, is this Nvidia playing like Nvidia tax? This doesn't necessarily yeah, do you get it? You kind of felt like, I'm buying into an early Nvidia tax, right? Because Founders Editions are coming out first. You gotta wait maybe 2 weeks to a month to get the AIB third-party ones. I kind of have to pay Nvidia tax to buy them, but this feels like less of that. This genuinely feels like this is a Founders Edition.
They're making it worth it.
Yeah, they're making it worth it, So
but you know what, man. If you look at the actual cards themselves, like even the AIB cards, like the one I got, the XE2 Ultra, because For the Win 3, the thing wouldn't even load for me. So I was like, all right, I'll just get the lower one. I'll step up if I have to.
Yeah.
But so the AI boards, right? They get the reference design from Nvidia, but they do tweak the boards. Like the reason why I always went with EVGA is because they add like power phase conduits on their cards, so it helps spread out the power. So when Nvidia makes these cards, they send the actual schematics to the board manufacturers. The board manufacturers then go ahead and contact the PCB makers and, hey, we want to change the design this way. We want to add this, this, and this. And then the board makers make it for them, and then they have it all put together and they sell it to you. So that's really the allure of the AIB cards.
Yep.
And
true.
some of them are really good. Like I remember Palt, however you pronounce them. I never heard of them before, but their cards are actually.
Oh, palette.
If you look at the palette, if you look at the overclock boards, they're all over that.
Yep.
Because they run multi-phase multi-phase power
VRMs,
arrays on these cards. Yeah.
Yep. The power phases that they had on them, the VRMs.
They're huge. They had rows. It looked like something out of the Matrix, like the people. They had like people in these little boxes.
Yeah.
And EVGA does the same thing.
And I think what Fresh is obviously dropping down to the fact that it's saying that, war games need to be optimized. And yeah, it's down to the developer, but there's always going to be a bit of a back of your mind. There's going to might be a bit more of a market.
It's engine dependent too.
It is engine dependent, but where I'm more confident this time round is they brought studios that have a reputation of always updating their engine. Always. If you follow channels like Digital Foundry, Crystal Dynamics, with obviously publishers like Square Enix and Eidos Montreal working together in that particular team, right? Every iteration of Rise of the Tomb Raider, right?
Brand new engine.
They have updated every single iteration for every single platform, whether it's the PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox One X, PS4, PS4 Pro, PS4 with boost. Like, they have literally updated, and it's not financially beneficial to them to do that, right? Because it's actually more man time, more resources, but because you can tell that they are passionate to actually push the envelope of graphical technology with efficiency of a cross platform and a very powerful and a dynamic and a very expandable engine. I am more optimistic that engines like DICE with their Frostbite engine will able to, like, for them to showcase that on Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Like, I don't think Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix would want to ruin their reputation and have a crap show of a technology not working their engine for them to display. They don't want to go through what happened with Assassin's Creed Unity, right? So
and the Division too.
Exactly my point. So I think I'm more optimistic because the studios that they had on display to actually demonstrate this, they are studios that have a great reputation of having to actually make sure that they push the boundaries of graphical engines and efficiency rolled into one. So yes, games do need to be optimized for any new technology that is this big of a change. Yeah, but
that hurts me, bro.
Yeah,
not as pumped for these as the 10 series. No, you know what? I get that. I get that. Look, you triggered Ben right now. I get that.
Right.
Because the Pascal, I know the Pascal was a really impressive leap.
It was,
but it wasn't generational.
This is generational. This is generational.
And I know what he's saying, and I think the problem is that actually, Fresh, I'll get to you in a second. That's actually, I think that's pretty far from the truth. And not you're saying it, but I'm that's not. We'll talk about that in a second. But as far as what Phil is saying, the 10 series was a good leap. It was a, it was an evolution of the prior chip. The 9 series was an okay chip. It was underwhelming. The 10 series was an evolution. The 2080 is a revolution in computer graphics. And he says, let's see what non-ray tracing performance is also. Now, I get that too, right? But just for a second, forget about the whole RTX thing. I think the problem with Henson was that he was talking about RTX way too much. Like a lot. And, he was excited. But just for a second, look at the amount of cores that this card has. And these are just CUDA cores. 4,300 CUDA cores. Almost 4,400. 4,400 CUDA cores. I think the 1080 Ti has what? Like 30, 3600.
3584. It's 3584 on the 1080 Ti.
It's almost 1,000 more CUDA cores.
That's
Look how many CUDA cores the 1080 has to the 1080 Ti, and look at the performance increase just from that alone.
Even if, let's just put it this way, Grav, let me just interject and add to that, right? Even
Please.
if we were just looking at the traditional metric of what we've been used to from the birth of stream processors. So I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, graphics had separate pipelines. You had Vertex and Pixels, right? ATI graphics were more pixel shader strong, whereas, you know, Nvidia graphics were more Vertex shader strong, right? 3D effects. So they were separate, discrete, but they didn't go through the general GPU purpose pipeline. That's what gave birth to stream processors, because it was able to consolidate that kind of a smart, you know, ability to be able to do that, and it had the ability to do general purpose computing, GPU. That gave birth to that whole generation of GPU, and that's what came about the whole birth of stream processors that ended up evolutionizing into CUDA, right?
And that was a big push with Pascal.
That was a big push with Pascal, right? Now this is what we're talking about, generational, right? We've not had any change in real architecture. We're talking about architecture, right? Everything has been more of a polish up and a refinement. Yes, they say architectural change, but really it was just more of a die shrink to be able to fit more transistors, fit more streams based on the same general principle of CUDA and stream processors, right? This architectural change, especially with AI, right? Real-time ray tracing, like that plus tensor cores, as well as your traditional CUDA cores, which have even been rewritten to be more powerful and more efficient cores to core performance, right? That's before you can even consider the fact that you are on a 12 nanometer chip, more transistors, higher overclock possibilities, right? And also GDDR6, where already off the bat you have 616 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth. That's before you even touch the overclock. So that means potentially you're getting into overclocks or memory bandwidth,
or the Tensor Core, or the RTX, or any of that.
We're talking about 6K gaming being made a reality. Even if you don't have 6K panels, just the fact that you can even able to tap into that with dynamic super resolution to actually see that kind of level of performance on one graphics core. Oh, mate. All
right, so Failtech, I'm gonna do like a little shoot, just looking at the numbers.
I had to go in. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good, man. I trust me. I know how you feel. So Fail, you know, he's being a realistic person. I understand that. Give me actual real world numbers with comparable, and hold on. Let's see what he says. I'm talking about real world performance in games. Okay, no. And you're right, and Nvidia has not a bad history, but they've done some pretty shady things in the past.
Yeah. We
all know that.
Yeah,
looking at the 800 series, the 8000 series. But just looking at, okay, so if you sat down and did the math, it's 11 o'clock and it's tomorrow morning for Ben right now. But but if you just look at the actual number of CUDA cores, now CUDA cores are pretty much like a CPU. But instead of 4 cores or 8 cores, you have thousands, and each core can do multiple things at once, and that's what makes the CUDA core so special.
Yep.
But the fact that you have almost 1,000 more CUDA cores, 1,000.
Yep.
No, man, mental integration is horrible. Let's not even go there. You're gonna start me and Ben off on a whole other tangent.
And that's what I'm saying. Even if you're just looking at it from the traditional metric,
the GDDR6. The bandwidth, the CUDA cores, the tri-core system. It's
like, oh, dude, Grav, I'm with you. Let's even take away all the new possibilities of future compatibility, real-time ray tracing. Let's just look at it from the traditional mindset of the normal metrics of teraflops, right? We're all very familiar with teraflops, whether it's single precision or double precision, right?
It's all about the T-flops, bro.
Exactly. Even if we're just looking at it from the traditional metric of what we reference teraflops to, what, you know, performance would be in terms of scaling, right? Just that alone, it's an upgrade. Just that alone. But even then, we're looking at it from a superficial level, because if there's no indication of what happened with what was before Maxwell was
Nothing. There was nothing before Maxwell. we
no,
don't
so
talk about that anymore.
It was Maxwell, Pascal, Turing now, so it would be GT. What was before Maxwell? The 7 series was what? What was the code name for the 7 series? But yeah, let's just say the 7 series, right? Look at something like the 780 Ti. 780 Ti had what? 2,880 CUDA cores or something like that, right?
Yeah.
When they skipped the naming series for the 8 series and went straight to 9 series, their flagship card on the same 28nm process, right? Remember, they hadn't even done a die shrink yet because there was just so many different problems that was happening with the 22nm process. Their flagship card was the GTX 980 that had 2048 CUDA cores. A lot of us that were looking at it from spec to spec actually thought this is a big downgrade. How have you gone from having so many CUDA cores down to so little, but yet you're displaying this as your flagship? The performance numbers were a different story.
Well, Fred said it was Kepler.
Kepler, yeah.
Kepler, Maxwell.
That's it. Yeah, so it was the GK core, GM core, GP core, now it's the GT core. The performance metric was completely different, you see. So it then told the story of, on the same manufacturing process, right, they were able to make the CUDA cores more efficient, much more faster, the overclocking headroom increased, right? When it's like, so even if you're just looking at it from raw CUDA and the normal teraflop metrics, right, that doesn't account for all the rewriting that they've done to make the CUDA cores more efficient. They're different. Yes, it may say CUDA, but a rewriting, and Nvidia have proven it from generation to generation to generation up until Turing now, that every time they rewrite and make the CUDA cores more efficient, yes, you may look at the quantity and think, oh, quantity scaling, the performance is going to be that different. It doesn't account for the CUDAs themselves being different, to the clock speed, to the amount of transistors, to the manufacturing process, to the graphics core themselves, and also the memory bandwidth. Like, you've not accounted for that as a complete picture. Oh, dude, I'm telling you, man. I can go on, I can go in, but this is a big deal. This is a big deal. This is a very, 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 very big deal. Whew.
You know what? I think the best bang for the buck is going to be the 2080.
Yeah, 2080 for sure.
At the price range,
crazy. It sounds crazy saying that, but yeah, man, for what you're gonna be getting.
The only reason I got the 2080 Ti is because I'm rocking the Alienware 120 3440 by 1440 ultra wide.
Yo, that display, you need to drop a video on that, bro.
I gotta get this note crap done first, but
yeah, I'm with you on that.
I know.
I'm the same boat at the minute, man. Trying to get the stuff out.
Hey, at least you got the phone. At least you have the phone.
I'm humbled, man. I'm humbled. I'm a lucky guy. I'm a lucky guy, so I got to rock with it as best as I can.
No, Fresh. We see you, brother. We see you.
My bro, like Courtney from Fresh, what's good in the house? Fresh Tech TV. Jonathan Leigh Ramos from Pixels and Bytes in the house as well. What's good, people? Thank you for joining the live stream.
We're so pumped with this card. It's just not even. It's not even. It's just the architecture itself is just.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Seriously, it's phenomenal. And Ryan, man, you know I rock with you. Ryan also shares a good interest in PC hardware as well.
I gotta get that freaking camera.
Well. Yeah. John James in the house. Thank you so much for joining the live stream, man. Appreciate you coming through. It's a bit hard and technical. I don't think people get to see me really go in on PC hardware on this level, because I've kind of had to hide myself away from that side of things, because it's been a while. I'm a PC gamer at heart, you know.
So look, as far as real world performance,
it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. Let
me just give you a point of reference. The 1080 to the 1080 Ti, right? There was an average of, I think it was 26 to 35 extra frames per second.
Yep.
at the same resolution on the same system with different cards.
Yep.
Now, and that's also not included. Now, it's hard because like you're not comparing. It's the architectures are so different for what they do.
Oh, for
but I'm just talking. Exactly, but I'm just talking in terms of sheer performance based on the power of the actual card itself. So I think realistically, if you're going from a 1080 Ti to a 2080 Ti, ignoring the Tensor Core, ignoring the RTX engine, ignoring the AI core, just getting rid of all that shit, is going with memory, the CUDA cores. I think you're probably going to be looking at 4K 60 FPS, super easy, maxed out. And I think you're probably gonna say you're getting 60 frames per second on a 1080 Ti. I think you're gonna get close to 90 to 100 on the 2080 Ti, just from the power alone. Because I was doing some quick numbers, and with the CUDA core increase from the 1080 Ti to the 1080, and it's just the GDDR6 changes that whole entire estimate, because it's just the bandwidth is so much more.
Man. Thank you. That's what I wanted you to touch on, because the amount of memory bandwidth that you need to drive such a high throughput of pixels to frames, and that's not to even account if you wanted to actually do any form of temporal anti-aliasing or, you know, traditional, you know, MSAA, like the amount of bandwidth that you need, right? If the bandwidth is already starting off at 616 gigabytes per second, that's the starting. And remember, this is GDDR6, this is the generation up. What's to say we haven't even tapped into the overclocking potential one, and also the power efficiencies that come with a generational upgrade when it comes to double data rate graphics memory, right? That it's man, I know I'm down for the whole let's wait till the 20th of September or wait till 3 days before, so that the embargo lifts and all the big guys get to review it and whatnot. I'm down for that. But just based on even traditional metrics, right, I'm calculating a 20, worst case scenario, a 20 to 30% increase in performance. That's worst case for me.
But you know what? If you're getting that kind of performance increase, but you have all these special effects, it's like you go from playing on medium to playing on high.
Yep.
I think if you have a 1080p display, I think the 10 series is completely fine for you. I don't think there's any reason to upgrade. Yeah. I mean, maybe like a 2070 if you want to have like ray tracing effects, because ray tracing, like tessellation, for example, if you enable tessellation, it completely destroys your video card.
Oh, mate.
That's one of the reasons why I got the Ti.
And the thing is, it's so true what you're saying, because Hairworks, if you look at Nvidia Hairworks, the underpinnings and the code behind it is all tessellation based and anti-aliasing based, and those things are a cripple to a system. So like, yo, you're so right, man.
But it's hard to compare the two generations, because the whole architecture is built differently. It's built for multiple processing nodes. Like, just the AI core alone can help with anti-aliasing, which negates the fact. And I think Nvidia was actually talking about a new was it DLSS? Yep.
So they were looking at I think they were demonstrating it was DLSS, and I think they were comparing it to
minigun.
Yeah, I think it was their
temporal,
TAA. Yeah, it was their
TAA.
Yeah, that's the one.
TSAA is fantastic. It's really, really good, and that's the whole point of it. It's very efficient. You can enable that and not lose half your FPS.
Yeah. Compared to your traditional multi-sampling.
SMAA.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh, SMAA, I think, was actually first introduced on Crysis 2 and Crysis 3 by Crytek. I think they were the ones that actually brought that through. So
he's raising his hand.
What's good, Courtney? What's good, bro? How long until the next GPU find? Cool. Philtech, man. Philtech. Shout out to Philtech in the house. Shout out to
What is GravX real name?
It's a secret, man.
It's a secret.
It's like
You gotta be in the Tech and Chill show to find out.
It's the equivalent of I'm Batman. So
but in the Christian Bale voice, not the Ben Affleck voice. It's more imposing. The next GPU family, they're probably gonna have a refresh next year.
Yeah. I'm more, again, so that we don't burn over on the time that we agreed and whatnot. Where I'm more excited is
mobile space.
Yeah.
Yep.
The mobile space is booming at the moment. It is booming. It's never been so significant since Intel decided to get their fingers out of their backside and actually bring more cores, make it more efficient, right? And the biggest change was when Nvidia dropped the M moniker to their naming system on these GPUs. It was a big sign change, right? And a lot of people were skeptical, but Nvidia have pretty much proven that they've been able to put desktop class GPUs in thin and light laptops. It is a game changer. It's even changed me to the point where I have a day one GTX 1080 Founders Edition in my in my computer, right? I don't care. For what I do, I'm actually now going to have better performance than what I get on my desktop right now. For my workflow as a content creator, I'm going to be getting better performance on a laptop than what I get on my desktop right now. Let that sink in for a moment to what the RTX 1070 Max Q version is going to be like for laptops. What the 2060, what the 2050, the 2050 Ti. Like, we're talking about scaled up performance with the performance to watt metrics just going skyrocketed through the roof, but at an accessible level. That's
the point that's really important. And I think, again, like you made a good point about the real allure of this card is, or the engine itself, the Turing chipset is literally mobile computing.
Yes.
Like my first actual, I mean, I got a laptop because I was in the military, and I couldn't, if I could carry a desktop with me, I would. But I mean, you know, you can't. You try to take it on a sequence. Like, what are you doing, man? Are you out of your mind? So, you know, I bought MSI Pro. I think it's a G62 Ghost.
Yep.
Ghost Pro, 1060 and 1080p screen, and all my videos in the past. I rented all my videos in that thing for months. I gamed on it like 3-4 hours every couple of days, and it got warm, but I mean, it was amazing. Like, you had this tiny little thin notebook. Yeah, and I mean, 3 hours of battery life maxing out Battlefield 1. I mean, it's just that's not bad.
Come on.
But hold on, we got some questions. Let's we're gonna get.
Let's...
So what is power consumption like on RTX, by the way, like TDP figures? They're actually about the same as the 1080 Ti and the 2080. I think it's the exact same TDP.
So
I had that up before, but
I had that up somewhere. So in terms of thermal design power, the thermal design power, the TDP. So for example, what you're looking at here is a Founders Edition RTX 2080, which I have on the screen right now. So you're looking at 2094, 2,944 CUDA cores. If you go all the way down in terms of the thermal and power specs, right, you're looking at a 6-pin to 8-pin. You are looking at the graphics power of 225 watts in terms of thermal design power TDP, right? That's for the Founders Edition, but you actually look at this, you're talking about base level is no higher than 200 watts. So,
which is insane.
I don't know how to express this to people. I really don't know how to express this to people, right? But this is a generational leap, but yet the power to performance wattage still makes
I got him up
a
right
Vega
now.
46 look like a joke. It makes everything that the Radeon Technologies group did, even against the Vega 56, it doesn't come close.
Okay, so the TDPs, right? So the GTX 1070, you're rocking a 150 watt TDP.
Yep.
For the 2070, it's a 180 watt. So your 30 watt increase.
Yes.
And check it out, right? So the 2070's got 2304 CUDA cores. The 1070 has 1920. So that's, what's that, 390 CUDA cores more? For 30 more watts at max load, if that.
Oh, guys.
The GTX 1080 is at 180 watts. The 2080 is at 285, so that's a 100 watt increase. I mean, but you know, and you're only going maybe like, so the RTX has 2944 CUDA cores and the GTX has 2500. So 400. But the biggest leap, which is insane. Now listen to this: the RTX 2080, right? 285 watt TDP. RTX 2080 Ti, 285 watt TDP. I'm talking identical TDPs and the CUDA cores, right? RTX 2080, 2944. The RTX 2080 Ti, 4300. 52 CUDA cores at the same TDP. Like how do you even do that?
How?
This is from Nvidia. Like this is what they're saying.
I'm telling you, yes, the sensible thing is always to wait for real world benchmarks and stuff. We're not paid by Nvidia. We're not trying to make Nvidia look like they're the best thing since sliced bread.
As a matter of fact, I just paid them $1,000 for a video card.
You know,
so if anything, they should be paying me.
Exactly. This ain't even anything about that. But this is a realization of what this is. And again, like I said to Grav, my benefit to this that I'm seeing is the trickle down effect. The trickle down effect, right? The first trickle down effect that you're going to be seeing is in mobile, and I'm telling you, the mobile space is going to be booming. Imagine a 2060 that's going to be performing as
1080,
pretty much the same as a GTX 1080, but with the thermal design envelope of nothing more than maybe 10 or 20 watts more than what a GTX 1060 had for the performance increase. Like, you're talking about your mid-range laptops, not top spec one, your mid-range laptops of the next generation are going to be performing like the GTX 1080.
But imagine 4K gaming on a laptop.
On a mid-range laptop, not just a laptop, a mid-range laptop. That's why I want to really drive that away. So your normal Joe Blogs is going to be able to spend $800 on a mid-range laptop that can game at 4K comfortably at high settings.
Until people come by and make engines that are ridiculous and look realistic in real life, and then you have to get a whole new series of cards in 10 years and whatever else.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. This is just gonna make companies that use rendering techniques from people like Nvidia, so from Adobe, you know, like this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And
when I get my card, I will do my first ever live stream by myself. Ben, you're invited, of course.
Dude, I'll be happy to. Oh man.
I'll throw this chat on my second screen, and I'll run any game you want. I'll figure out. I'll do like a video before that, and you guys can watch it.
Yep.
And I'll test whatever you give me some. I'll test out the card.
Yep.
I don't, because I literally before I yelled so loud I scared the crap out of my daughter and my wife. That's how excited I was. I mean, I haven't been this excited for a card in years. I mean, shit, I don't even know if I've ever been this excited for a card.
Same.
Maybe the 5500.
I'm depriving myself of sleep because I just said, you know what, I need to just have it. I need to voice it out. I've got to voice it out. Like this is exciting, and I'm telling you, the trickle down effect when manufacturing processes go down to 10 nanometers, go down to 8, 7. The trickle down effect in terms of performance to what? Is going to skyrocket into a level that is never been seen before. Performance to what? And do you know what's so funny, right? Nvidia were the worst company when it came to performance for what? If you don't believe me, go back to 500 series, GTX 500 series, GTX 400
580.
series. Oh my goodness, you could literally use it as a hot furnace. They were terrible. AMD and ATI was so much better at that. They were terrible. they had to, and they realized that we cannot keep
Yeah, the
doing
ATI.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ATI 4 series, the 3 series was the beginning of ATI rewriting, because if you remember, the HD 2000 series were terrible when it came to heat efficiency. They reboarded everything. They started it from the 3 series, the 3000 series to the 4000 series especially, and then the 5000 series was just like next level efficient. That's when Nvidia were, yes, they were still faster, but at the cost of how much in terms of like heat output, which was double. It just wasn't going to be cost effective. You just couldn't sustain it that way. They've come back to the drawing board, and now the performance to what? Wow, this is unprecedented. And I'm talking about, you're gonna get to a point where when you get to the RTX 3000 series, for example, right, you are gonna be getting cards like the, let's just say the 3050, right, the RTX 3050 for the next generation. You're going to be getting a card that is meant to be low end, that will be near enough running 1440p quad high definition resolution like it's nothing. But that's a low end spec card.
So what, I'm gonna make a prediction. I'm gonna say that with the 20 series, the 2000 series, they're gonna keep like, they're probably gonna release the 2060.
Yep.
But for laptops, I think with the refresh, they're gonna refresh first mobile chips,
dude.
And then they're gonna lower the CUDA core count, and they're gonna pack a 2080 in a laptop processor.
Oh, don't get me excited.
That's what I think. I think you're gonna see them in the next 6 months.
Oh my goodness! If that happens, like Radiant Technologies Group, they need a miracle.
I'm calling it now. I'm telling you, come back to me in like February. And you're gonna see MSI, you're gonna see Asus, all the new laptops are gonna have like, hey, here we go, we're releasing the 2070 and 2080 chips in a few months.
And this is not to account for the fact that Coffee Lake refresh is around the corner, right? That's a whole nother discussion in itself. So the potential of having 8 cores, 16 threads on a mainstream. So imagine 8 cores.
That's what I got now, bro.
Exactly. Think about it. It's true. Like, think about 8 cores, 16 threads with RTX power in a mobile package. Desktops,
you can game anywhere you want.
I'm telling you, and this will now be C-Live approved, genuine desktop replacements. Genuine, not half baked,
but laptop, but pocket sized.
That how can that not be exciting? How can that not be such a leap?
You could literally have a gaming computer in a Surface Pro size.
That will make gaming consoles, even gaming consoles like the Nintendo Switch, look like just nothing.
So Fresh, in PS5, so there's a lot of rumors going on, and the best way to figure out about like the PS5, if you look at AMD's like stock portfolio and their customer base. So when you look at their whatever the hell the word, I forgot the word for it, but whenever they release their like their profit margin reports,
the yearly reports,
Sony is a massive client. I mean, so is Microsoft, but Sony is huge right now. So what I'm thinking is they're going to be using, for the first time ever, a discrete GPU in a console.
Yep.
And consoles, and this used to be a big, like, I'm a universal gamer. I game on PS4, Xbox, PC.
Same.
Because, you can't be, a gamer can be anybody, but you can't discriminate against a gamer because they like a PS4 or Xbox. It's like,
you can't.
Minesweeper, I think it's too graphically intense for the PS6. But we'll get to that in 5 or 10 years. But like you were saying before, Ben, when you get to consoles, they're exclusively made to render video games. They've got nothing holding them back.
Practically no overhead.
No, their whole point of being is gaming. That's what they're for. So that chip, predominantly consoles will always look better than a moderate to sub high-end PC.
Especially when it comes to like minimum requirements, minimum spec.
Exactly, because it's
graphic.
all for that game.
Yep.
It's not rendering direct. It's not rendering DirectX linked into your system for whatever else. It's not rendering, 85 sub processes for whatever else. All that power is going to that game directly.
Overhead.
And that's it. Yeah, overhead. There's no overhead.
There's
nothing.
Overhead. I'm telling you.
It's marginal.
Yep, and it's become so much better now because the graphical leap has been so big, and it's actually what people don't like to admit to is it's actually helped the PC scene. It's helped the PC scene because now playing at ultra settings is almost irrelevant now because developers don't build their game engines to look good at ultra like they used to back in the day. You could day and night, like if you look at the original Crysis in 2007,
it's still beautiful.
It's still beautiful, but the difference between going from medium to high was huge. To ultra was even bigger, right? But now it's not the case because they've optimized their games on a minimum base level to look amazing and phenomenal at medium and high. Ultra literally is just like an icing in the cake that cripples you, that you only do if you genuinely have SLI. Like if you genuinely have and even then, MGPU support, which obviously what they're going to be doing with NVLink right now.
And that's another thing too. NVLink is insane.
Oh man,
you have a virtual single CPU as to one, so it stacks both memory into one giant. I can't. I don't even know what to say to that,
dude. This has been a big problem when it comes to multi GPU, and they fixed that. Can we not see the relevance of multi GPU being a thing again? Like, man.
That'll come in big for multi-monitor setups.
That's
the only reason that you would really ever need SLI, unless you're doing computer rendering or computer-aided graphics. So, if you're running like a multi-mod, like if I wanted to run two Alienware 34s, then I would need an SLI. But NVLink is literally a next. It's a revolution in every. It's a revolution. Yeah, it's what it is.
It's big. We're talking about having true double the memory bandwidth. True.
I know it's my I'm shaking my head right next to you too, man.
I'm telling you, this has been the biggest complaint. This is what's made people give up a multi GPU setup. This is listen, guys. We can go on. I'm sleep deprived, but I'm excited at the same time. I'm flipping pumped. I'm glad I got GravX on here. We can flip and talk about, PC hardware finally again, man. It's been a long time coming, having to go deep in. I've had that discussion with Ryan. Ryan is into PC hardware as well. Shout out to my Project 13 that came into the live stream as well. What's up, Tony? What's good, bro? Thank you for coming through. I know usually we are up in the comments. Grav has probably done a better job than me as the host to actually look after the comment section. Because, dude, I've never been this pumped for PC hardware in a long time. I ain't gonna lie to you, like my face is hurting with a smile because, again, like I said, the trickle down effect is gonna be amazing for consumers. But you see, in all this, I really hope, in conclusion, that this will wake up the Radeon Technologies group. They need to really wake up. I don't know what Lisa Su did with that division of the group where they prioritized too much for consoles. Roger Kadiri had his doubts. There was so much politics on there that it really hampered release time of Vega. The architectural difference from Vega didn't really seem any different to Polaris. There wasn't even the standout feature that was really meant to be their Halo product to really bring them out, HBM2, didn't really flourish because it's only been after a year now that you're seeing third-party add-in board versions of Vega 64 and 56, which is ridiculous. A year later, it's only now that you're seeing AIB cards. That's
I have
a big problem.
Perfect analogy for HBM2. Graphene. 10 years ago, graphene. Oh my god, graphene's gonna change the world. 2018. Where the hell is it?
We're still waiting.
No, waiting. Oh, there's graphene in there. It's like a quarter of like a nano ounce, and it's like it's part of a wire.
And the third-party AIB have made no difference to thermals in any way. Forget overclocking. they've made no difference to thermals. So then it really shows the inefficiency in the design of the architectural completion of that platform of a card.
I think HBM would make great. Remember back in the day with Intel, the RDR RAM?
Yeah.
Or RD RAM. HBM reminds me of that. I think it's got the same kind of. I think it's got the same kind of architectural design.
It must do. It must do.
Because I remember reading an article about like HBM2 and its issues. I remember back in the day, like old Dells used to use RD RAM, and if you couldn't just upgrade, you had to buy RD RAM. You had to buy specific bin chipsets because they only work with certain. It was stupid. And yeah, RD RAM was incredibly quick, but when you couldn't find the right matching part, the right matching chip to match your other chip, you're fucked.
That's the problem. That is the biggest problem that I said, why you designed your chipset like this. So in fact, the Fury line
should have been great.
It should have been great, but even my biggest problem with AMD is, so you're telling me you guys have gone from a 28nm chip, you've worked with Global Foundries to bring you down to a 40nm chip, but yet you've not been able to fit any more cores, any more stream cores into this space because you've allowed it all to be eaten up by HBM because everything else is so inefficient still, right? That you've not been able to clock anything higher, let alone even add any more cores or even rewrite the code of how the stream processor cores write and behave, right? You are still stuck at 4096 as your top end, and that's the whole die gone. There's no more room, none.
But their cores are so under. I can't say underpowered because that's not the right term. They're not structured. It's the structure that they don't run in parallel.
Nah, they don't, and it was such a waste of a manufacturing shrink because the performance per watt didn't work out. It really made me question, like, what were they doing within that time period? Plus, to wait a year later, what were they really doing? What were they really doing? Maybe hardware level access to DirectX 12 was impressive, i.e. OpenGL, OpenCL, things like Doom, Vulkan. Fine, they showed their muscle there, but then cross board, it still did not negate the problem of performance per watt. This is why none of their RX Polaris cards or Vega cards could actually even work in a laptop, let alone in a desktop, because the thermal design was completely shocking, you see. So I hope for the sake of competition, because if we're excited about what we're getting right now from Nvidia, let's just imagine if Nvidia actually had good competition. You know, even if we weren't getting any more performance from Nvidia, if there was good competition, pricing would be something that we'll be laughing at the moment. And even then, pricing now structured for what you said, Grav, it's so much better now. So man, I'm pumped. I'm literally just like,
but I don't want it to be the thing I'm not an Nvidia fanboy.
Nah.
You know, and neither are you. We're fans of tech, and I think what Nvidia is doing is, like, they've literally breathed new life into computer graphics. Not that it was dead, but just like it's just the possibilities that they've opened up, and like again,
it's huge.
You have to have like the mindset to think long term. Like what are the ramifications of this? Yes. You have a multi-phase. Like I'm gonna call it a multi-phase core.
Yeah,
because it's a tri-core chip.
It pretty much is.
You know, but you're unloading all these with this. Okay, so with this die shrink that they've done, they're unloading. You know, you can't even say it's not even unloading. They've completely reinvented their architecture.
Oh, I'm telling you,
I keep looking at the core design, and I'm looking at Pascal. I'm looking at Turing. I look at Pascal again at Maxwell, and it's like it doesn't. It's not even. It doesn't even, like you can see the family resemblance from Kepler to Pascal, or to Maxwell to Pascal. Like you can see the natural evolution. But when you pop in that die shot on the ULV, like. I don't know if you can bring it up or not on the channel, or some other time. But like, just the die shot alone, like it looks alien.
Oh, listen, this tour. I'm telling you, man.
I hate the answer, Fresh. Why?
I'm telling you, man. Let me tell you, this is the biggest change that we've seen architecturally, genuine architectural change, since the ditch of separate pipeline, discrete architectural design to general purpose computing with stream process and CUDA. This is big, and I know there's marketing jargons that, you know, Jensen was excited about, but I
RTX and all that crap, yeah.
You know, I believe him when he says that, because I can see it. I can see the potential, you know, just for long term, the trickle effect. And even if we're just looking at the traditional teraflop metrics, it is massive. It's still massive. I'm counting 30 to 40% worst case increase for every single naming scheme, right? It's huge. So yes, we're gonna be sensible. We're gonna wait till the 20th. You know, my guy Grabbers ordered it. I'm excited to see what it has to offer, but this is big. The trickle effect is big. I hope Radeon Technologies Group, they wake up. The mobile platform has been booming. Like, I've never seen so many laptops released by different vendors in one go like I've been seeing in the past year. I've never in my years of computer hardware ever seen that many. Like, this amount of laptops proves that these vendors finally have the hardware to be brave enough to branch out to do it. Laptops were only ever left exclusively, especially gaming laptops, to certain companies, but even then they were still terrible. I mean, terrible. Like, it was just like, for all this bulkiness and inefficiency,
I think your only option was an Alienware.
But even then, it was, let's be honest, Grav, it was terrible. Like,
yeah, and it weighed 1,000 pounds.
Like, it
was so big you couldn't take it with you.
Oh, and even then, when you do, you've got like 45 minutes of battery life. You couldn't use it. You just couldn't use it because it was just so inefficient. Like what you're saying now, it's not even general purpose. You're doing gaming on Battlefield 1, right? On battery, and it's playing hella nice for 3 hours before it turns out. Yeah,
it was MSI Stealth Pro is what I had. It was
that.
A 77H HQ.
Look at that.
1060, and literally I was getting I think it was like 65 frames per second, 1080p, and I got 3 hours and 10 minutes of battery life before it would die on me.
Look at the difference. Look at the difference, and I'm telling you guys, the trickle effect of this architectural release, these graphics cards, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And I get Radeon Technologies Group. They're slightly putting their eggs in one basket because they know that they've made good money from these APUs and these specifically custom-made APUs for these gaming consoles. But they need to really be careful not to miss out on the revenue potential of what could actually come from actually bringing good competition based on where their grassroots is, which is the PC scene, right? The PC hardware scene is where their grassroots are, you know. So I don't want them to forget that, and I want them to bring and in a way, it's like a lot of people criticize Nvidia for not contributing to competition in the console space, but in fact they look right now like the smarter company. AMD almost seem trapped into this contract with Sony and Xbox.
But you know what though? I think my project, do me a favor, hit me up on Twitter. That way I can help you out after the video. I don't want to like make you feel like I'm ignoring you, but because I know we're gonna end this chat pretty soon.
Yeah.
Because my boys need to get some sleep. His eyes are all freaking beat red over there. But
sorry guys, impromptu this one. I
know. I think that AMD, what you're going to see with AMD in the future is that the next year they're going to kind of play it cool. They're going to quiet down on the PC market.
Sad.
Because I think, and it's the way it is right now, because with the release of Touring, and even, you know, Volta, which is, I think, not Volta, it's what's coming next. Volta is right before this, Touring, and
Navi.
But Navi is their new chipset.
Yeah.
Navi is coming next year. and I think it's going to be a headline for the PS5. I think PS5 is
It
going
is.
to use Navi architecture,
It is.
which is smart.
It is, but
So
It
there's
is.
more money to be made by AMD because they're going to make. And that's the thing with consoles. Like manufacturers make absolute jack shit off of consoles because they're paying royalties
Yep.
to AMD, and AMD's got the whole APU. And then if PS5 does what everyone thinks they're going to do and what they're saying they're going to do and goes with a discrete GPU and a separate CPU package, that's going to be a revolution in console gaming. Imagine
Because it
having a
streamlines things.
dedicated CPU
Yep.
and a dedicated GPU.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to have graphics that are going to supersede what we've seen today.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's hard to explain the ramifications of that kind of power in a console. But this is a singular box that's got a singular purpose. Yeah, I know you can stream on them and Netflix and chill and whatever else, but it's just like its sole purpose for being is for gaming, whereas a PC is for doing everything under the sun.
Exactly. And if that doesn't set things into pace, week on week we're gonna have mini embargo lifts. So we're gonna have more details where Nvidia is gonna lift another embargo where people will be able to give more technical,
I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you boards have already gone out to like those big YouTubers and those big tech channels, and they'll have them within the next few days.
Especially guys like Ryan Shrout from PC Perspective, they have a strong relationship with Nvidia. Nvidia come onto the show, they interview them, do like an hour to 2 hour live stream giveaways. They're setting up all those meetings. So this is exactly a month before the card officially comes on all shelves, as they've said.
The 20th, September.
Yeah, exactly. Week on week there'll be different embargoes that will be lifting. There'll be the funny unboxing embargoes that will be lifting as well. There'll be so many little things, man. So I'm telling you, we're gonna be seeing more of this touring architecture and what it really has to bring to the table. But even like we said, looking at traditional metrics, this is still a big leap, and it's a big leap
in power.
Yep. And it's a big leap considering the fact that Nvidia are pretty much just competing with themselves. Think about that. They're just competing with themselves.
Yeah, fresh. Sony Master Race.
But yeah, guys, I'm going to sign out.
Ampri's next. That's what's next. Nvidia Ampri.
Yeah, Ampri. That's true.
I knew
That's
it.
True.
I was trying to figure out what it was.
That's true. But yeah, guys, honestly, thank you for whoever was in this impromptu live stream of the
two people hated
reaction to the announcement of Turin. Finally, all the leaks are done. The surprises have come. 3 GPUs rather than 2 GPUs like they traditionally do, which is amazing. A completely new reference.
It's a win for us. Yeah,
it's a big win-win. Pricing is competitive. The power looks juicy. Wow. Real-time ray tracing. Oh my goodness. So much.
That's huge.
So much. So definitely I'm going to leave GravX's channel in the description below. Definitely hit him up on socials. I'll put all his handles down below as well. Hit him up, follow him. He's going to have great content that's going to be coming for the Galaxy Note 9 as well. Watch out for me. I'm going to be dropping more Note 9 content as well. And without a shadow of a doubt, peace and love to all you guys. Thank you all for joining the live stream. Watch this space closely. There's more stuff to come, man. Your host, Ben, GravX. Thank you so much, bro, for joining and being a special guest for tonight on the love of the Tech and Chill Show Unplugged.
Anytime, Ben, man. It was a good time.
Awesome. Peace out, guys.
Later, guys.